What's up, guys? It's G here, and welcome back to the Grizzly Life Podcast. In this episode, Colton talks about some of the changes he's made in his day to day life over the past several months, why he made them, what sparked the shift, and how it's all going, things like blue light, Teflon, microplastics, and more. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe, follow, and turn on notifications. Now let's get into episode 19 of the Grizzly Life Podcast.
Yo, what is up, guys? It is episode 19 of many here. We appreciate you guys tuning in. It is Wednesday, the day before this episode will be released. So again, we're trying to get these episodes recorded ideally the Friday before, just so we're kind of ahead of the game, but we just haven't had the time to do so. Actually, let me rephrase that. I don't like using the haven't had the time to do so. We haven't been proactive enough to get these episodes done ahead of time, and that's on us. So that's why you've got us today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. We kind of got a lot of things to talk about, but they're not going to be too elaborated on. It's going to be kind of an interesting episode. We're going to talk about a bunch of things that I've changed in like the last 10 months, 8 months or so since I've gone to carnivore. These are just kind of take it for what it's worth type topics. I want you to know what I'm doing, what I've changed, kind of my standpoint on some things. But before we get into that, if you haven't tuned in to us before, I am 26 years old. My name is Colton Burt. I own a couple fitness centers, a company that moves and installs gym equipment, and we also own a couple pieces of real estate. I don't need to give you the whole spiel, but go back and listen to episodes 1 through 4. That'll give you a really good kind of background on who we are, where it all began, and that kind of stuff. So I guess we'll kind of jump right into this. I've got G today in the producer chair. Him and I are going to go back and forth a little bit here on some of these things, or if he has any input to give since he's been living with me. Maybe he can say how much I annoy him with some of these items. I'm on him about some of these things daily. It's kind of probably hard to hear me say, hey, you shouldn't do that, or hey, you shouldn't do that. But, everybody lives their own life and they can do what they want to do. So without further ado, we're going to kind of hop into this. The reason we're going to talk about this today, again, I started carnivore back in July of 2024. So last July, I kind of started going down that path. The reason I started going down that path, I think it was just kind of popping off at the time. I was always big into dieting. I know I've talked about this in prior episodes, but I was always big into dieting, but it was easy to eat too much of one thing, aka if you're living the bodybuilder or physique kind of lifestyle, or even like the athlete, pasta's good for recovery and carbs are good for muscle growth and all this stuff. But it's easy to eat, 1 cup too many of the pasta, or, binging on some things that you shouldn't be eating, or too much oatmeal or whatever it is. So I just never was getting the results that I wanted. So, or not necessarily, at least as of recent. So started doing some research on the carnivore, found out a lot of things that I liked about it. I thought it'd be very difficult to do, but I said, you know what, let's try it. So the first week of July, it was kind of like a soft week for me for carnivore. Just kind of started doing it. I think I still had like a piece of pizza, maybe a couple chips or something, but nothing too crazy. And so, yeah, I just kind of hopped right in. After like the first or second full week of July, I think I was kind of going all in. Lots of eggs, lots of meat, lots of steak. Kind of cut out all the fries and all the pizza and, all the pretzels and that kind of stuff, all the easy to munch on food, especially when you're out late at night or whatever you're doing. It's all easy stuff to eat. So started going carnivore. I liked the, less inflammation in the body due to carnivore. Rapid body fat loss is what they said would happen. They also warned that when you start carnivore, you might get headaches. You need to drink a lot of water. You need a lot of salt because of the electrolytes that you need to get. You're not going to get them from anywhere else, that kind of stuff. So anyways, carnivore I thought was a great idea. I was already eating high amounts of protein, eggs, burgers, beef, steak. Those are kind of all my favorite things to eat anyway. So I said, you know what, let's do this. So anyways, we start going down the carnivore path, and this was not immediate. I didn't start going carnivore and then changed all these things. Since I started going more carnivore, it seems like it's kind of like the, in quotations, like our ancestors would have eaten like this, and then they say you can get all of your vitamins and nutrients and minerals and stuff that you need from red meat and all that. So going down this, in quotations, natural path, I just started doing some more research, more videos started popping up in the feed, just started understanding a little bit more. And that kind of led me to change some other things, and that's kind of where we're going with today's episode. So the first thing I've got on my list here is the Teflon pans. I think I changed this probably fall of last year, maybe, or like, late summer, early fall. So I did change this one kind of early on. I always heard when I was cooking with Teflon, I remember a couple times where, like, I'm always one where I'll crack my eggs in the pan, then I'll use a fork and I'll kind of stir them up that way instead of scrambling them beforehand. So I would crack them in the pan and then I would stir them up. And I think it was actually my mom's sister kind of made a comment, like with the Teflon pan, she goes like, "Hey, that's really not good for it. You're scratching the pan and basically I was deteriorating the Teflon and it was kind of probably getting in my food and that kind of stuff." And I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, like I'll be fine, didn't really think much of it. Then I started learning more about Teflon and, non-stick pans or, pots and pans that are non-stick. So do your own research on all the things we're going to talk about today as well. I mean, you don't have to listen to me. I'm just sharing a lot of things that I've changed. So again, take them for what they're worth. But Teflon is a forever chemical. It's man-made. If it gets overheated, it can release chemicals that can give you what they call the Teflon flu. Again, are you going to overheat the pan? I'm not too sure, but it's just a forever chemical. It's man-made. I just tried to avoid it. I just want to try to get as much of that man-made stuff out of my everyday routine and that stuff. So anyways, got rid of Teflon, went to cast iron and stainless steel for that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it sucks to clean up and it's all difficult, but I really haven't had any problems with that. I mean, after you wash and clean them, if you, what's it called when you put like the olive oil in afterwards? I forget. Yes, seasoning. So you have to, after you use cast iron and you clean them, it's best to not put them through the wash. It's best to rinse them out quick, dry them off right away so that way you avoid rust. And then you also want to season them, which is like just taking some olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, putting it in the pan and kind of just dampening that up so that way it stays seasoned. You would also do that with like a Blackstone grill just to kind of keep it in pristine condition. Again, keep the rust away, keep it in good shape. Since I've been doing that, cleaning it and seasoning it, I also use olive oil or butter or whatever you want to use when you cook in it. I really haven't had that many problems with like having to like, oh my gosh, it's a mess afterwards, which I know is what I was always worried about before. So giving it a good butter or good oil before you cook in it, I think it's a great option. I've only been using cast iron, but I also have stainless steel. So first one I got rid of was Teflon, or one of the first things I got rid of was Teflon, the forever chemical. Went the cast iron stainless steel route. How do you feel? I always bring it up to you. Tell you, oh, you shouldn't be using Teflon. You shouldn't be using Teflon. Do you have any take on the Teflon sides of things?
Yeah, I mean, and I still use it, which I probably shouldn't with how much you talk about it to me, but I mean, it's proven that it's bad, but it's just so easy to use and so easy to clean up and all that. So I don't know. I should definitely switch over to cast iron and that sort of thing, but I haven't done so yet.
And I'm not trying to use this episode as like, hey, you should change all of these things. Because anybody listening, I don't want them to feel that I'm like trying to shove this down their throat and say, hey, you should change this and change that. I guess what I'm the point that I make is there's so many little things that just seem like little things, like Teflon. Oh, it's not that, it is a big deal, but it's not that big of a deal. But if you add up all of the things that aren't that big of a deal that we're still consistently doing, I'm more concerned about the long term, We're here for our health and our longevity. The Grizzly Life podcast is about being the best version of you. That's not just like studying and reading and all of these other things. It's like long-term health effects and how we can stay the healthiest. And I just think over the last 40, 50, 60 years of all the things that have changed and we've gone more man-made and plastics and all this stuff, it makes it, we'll see what happens in 40 years' time from now and kind of how it affects us. But anyways, moving on from the Teflon, I think you should do your own research on it. I think you should consider going cast iron and stainless steel. It's not as big of a deal as you might think to keep it clean and good to go. So anyways, another interesting one that I've eliminated is fluoride. And these aren't in any particular order. These are just kind of a bunch of, I've got a couple cooking things and a couple clothes things. And anyways, so fluoride is the next on my list that when I was making these notes. Again, do your own research. I have a stance that fluoride isn't that great for our teeth or our mouth in general. I know there's fluoride in the water systems in large cities, so you have to be careful with drinking like city water. But fluoride is in basically every toothpaste and mouthwash that you can buy. I'm not going to go too crazy on this one. I think you should just do your own research and decide if fluoride is good or bad for you. I have gone to a toothpaste company called Twice, which is like a charcoal toothpaste. Tastes fine. It's great. And I went to, I think it's called Tom's mouthwash, which is, again, in quotations, all natural mouthwash. I'm also going to talk about microplastics, which is kind of, contradicting because all this other, I'm trying to eliminate microplastics, and that's actually the next one on my list. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about the fluoride, but a lot of these things we get, the toothpaste, the mouthwash, it still comes in plastic containers. So how much can you really eliminate it in your life? I'm just playing the game of trying to eliminate microplastics as much as I can. So, talking about microplastics, some things that I've done to reduce my intake of them. And again, I think you should do your own research on microplastics and the effects they have in your brain and that kind of stuff because I'm not an expert on them. I just know that they're hard to get out of your body. Everything that we eat and drink out of, has microplastics of some sort. When you heat up Tupperware, when you use plastic bowls, when you use plastic cups, you eat the bag of chips, whatever it is, again, microplastics are kind of everywhere. So do your own research on microplastics and how they affect us, but things that I've done to get rid of microplastics, we've got well water as an option, so I drink strictly well water. I've got a 42-ounce Yeti jug. I fill that up before I go to work out. I'll come back home after I work out to get breakfast. I will have already drank in 42 ounces of water, so then I'll grab another 42 ounces from the well. That should get me through most of the day. Till I get home, I'll have another 42 ounces of water, so that's kind of my regimen there. So the perfect world, I don't drink water out of... what we also do is, since we live on the farm, we've got a plastic jug in the fridge that holds water so to keep it cold. I try to not drink out of that as much as possible now, again, just for the microplastic safe. But well water, using a Yeti, we got the stainless steel, trying to go that route as much as I can. I also, when I was going down this path last year, before I bought the Yeti and that kind of stuff, I bought a bunch of glass shaker bottles, so that way, if I make a protein shake, if I need water around the house, I can just drink out of glass. They're not very expensive. You grab a couple of those, you're good to go. Again, the top is plastic, so how much can you really avoid? It's hard to say, but at least when you're shaking up your protein shakes and that sort of thing, you're not banging around on all the plastic the whole time. And another one we've gone to is wooden utensils, or I've tried my best to go wooden utensils, using a rubber spatula, plastic spatula, flipper, whatever you want to call the kitchen tools that you use to cook with, on a really hot pan. Again, how much microplastics are you getting in your food? I don't know, but another one that I'm trying to cut out. So I've gone kind of the wooden utensils route. To get wooden utensils, it's important to hand wash those. Don't throw them in the wash. Don't throw them in the dishwasher. Don't let them soak in water. That'll create bacteria and they'll store on there. So any wooden utensils you have should be, I'm not the best at this, but should be hand washed after use, hand dried right away, and set aside that way, just to keep them in good working order, keep the bacteria out of them, that sort of thing. So glass bottles around the house, wooden utensils, gone the well water route. When I go to the gas station, which I rarely do anymore, but if I need to get a bottle of water, I'm on the road for whatever reason, I will shop, I will, instead of getting like the plastic water bottles, I'll go aluminum. Now, there's a whole other thing we could talk about. I don't know enough about it, but aluminum's not that great for you either. Again, everything out there is basically harmful, so it's just kind of picking and choosing your poison and how you can go about it and make it all work. So I will go for the aluminum bottle. I ideally won't buy any aluminum or plastic from the gas station, but if I need to, I go the aluminum route as of right now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else microplastics wise. Obviously eating on the carnivore diet, I've eliminated eating a lot of processed foods that come in plastic, but my meat still comes in plastic. It's still frozen in the freezer in plastic. And so, again, how much can we really eliminate it? It's hard, but
It's everywhere.
it really is. I mean, everything. I mean, no matter what you do, you've got plastic. I mean, I just don't know like the science behind heating up. Like if my food is frozen with plastic around it and it stays frozen, I know there's a lot of stuff on like heating up versus maybe like the frozen aspect. I don't know the science behind like microplastics being released and in there. I know I just watched a video the other day on like shaker bottles, and when you're shaking them up with ice or with your blender with the blender ball in there, those shaker bottles do deteriorate over time, and you'll get microplastics in your. Again, so they are everywhere. There's nothing we can do to necessarily avoid them 100%, but pick and choose the route that you want to go to help eliminate as much as you can, or at least choose, pick your poison, right? So I don't know. Microplastics aren't one that we're ever going to get rid of, unfortunately. I will add a side point. I do believe that the sauna at certain temperatures and length and how often you use it is one of the best ways to battle that. I don't know all the science on it, but I believe from what I've learned a little bit that saunas can help kind of expel some of those microplastics from the body and kind of help keep us cleaner type thing. So do your own research, but pick your poison when it comes to the microplastics game and how you can help avoid it. I know myself, I was even drinking plastic, I was every day at the gym, my source of water was just the plastic water bottles we got at the gym, which again is fine. I still drink out of them here and there, but when I'm drinking 6 of them a day at the gym, I just wanted to try to avoid that as much as I could. So that's why I went like the Yeti route. Next item on the list. I don't know a whole lot about this one. I've learned a little bit about it, but not enough to educate you. But polyester fabric, polyester clothes, particularly underwear, but clothes in general, polyester blankets, polyester sheets. I know poly is not a great material for you. I was watching or listening to something about polyester underwear for men and it having an effect on testosterone levels and stuff like that. So do your own research. It is something that I've gone away from. I've tried to go more of like the 100% cotton or high levels of cotton for my blankets, sheets, towels, underwear, sweatpants, that kind of stuff. I've gone more of the cotton route. So look into polyester if you want. Make a decision for yourself. But that is another one of those little things. I have also gone more. So again, not a ton of research on my end, but looking into products that I use every day or weekly, being deodorant and shampoo. You ever look at a shampoo bottle and notice that there's like 50 ingredients on there? I don't know why that needs to be. I don't know why it's that complicated. I'm not in the soap industry. I don't understand, but anytime you look at something when it's got 50 ingredients in there, you kind of question why is it like that. So I have switched over to Native shampoo and deodorant. I'm not saying Native is the high and almighty. I just haven't done enough research to find my favorite brand, but Native claims to be a clean brand. It claims to have not that many ingredients, and that's what I've been rocking lately. So if you use a different one that you think's almighty, like amazing, I mean, feel free to message me because I love to have everybody's point of view on a lot of this stuff. But deodorant, aluminum free. Aluminum's not good for you. I don't have enough research to explain why it's not good for you, but the Native deodorant is kind of the route I've gone as well. So native deodorant, native shampoo is the direction I've gone, trying to simplify the man-made ingredients in a lot of those products. Another thing I've cut out is the microwave. I really don't use the microwave for anything. I've gone the air fryer route, oven route, stovetop. I try not to warm anything up in the microwave unless I absolutely have to. The microwaves, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff behind a microwave. I don't think I have to go and try to make you believe that a microwave's not that great for you, but the microwaves and when it actually heats up your food, it affects the food as well. Depending on what you're microwaving in, like again, Tupperware or any kind of plastic for that matter, not a great option for that as well when it heats up the plastic and the microplastics that are released. Also the food doesn't, the word's not deteriorate, but the food kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for here, how I'm trying to explain this, but when you heat up the food, it's not the same as it was before you put it in the microwave essentially. So it affects it kind of all around. Again, do your own research on the microwave, and if you can eliminate it, if you can go an air fryer, that's what I do. If you can warm your stuff up on a stovetop, that's what I do. While I'm on this one too, and we talked about microplastics, I also ordered a glass set for Tupperware. So I've got like 1 or 2 glass sets of Tupperware. So every time I meal prep my beef primarily beef or steak, I use glass Tupperware. So even when I need to heat it back up, I can just throw that entire glass Tupperware in the air fryer, or I'll just heat it back up on the stovetop. So again, another little thing, but it's so easy if you have plastic Tupperware to then throw it in the microwave and warm it back up. So I've gone just the glass Tupperware route. Another interesting one I've got here, wired headphones. I don't need to go too deep down this rabbit hole either. I've gone wired headphones. I've tried to gone away from Bluetooth. Bluetooth is still in the vehicles. I know I'm not getting away from Bluetooth entirely, but the Bluetooth headphones, again, you're wearing the Beats over the head or the AirPods or whatever. The Bluetooth going directly, the only thing between your headphones is your brain itself. And so just like the EMFs that are coming off, the EMFs that are given off from the headphones, and again, do your own research, believe what you want to believe. I'm not telling anybody they should all stop wearing Bluetooth headphones. It's one of those far out things where Bluetooth's only been around and effective for how many years, and what can happen 50 years from now, 30 years from now. Are we going to have a higher, is our generation going to have more cancer in us because of cell phones from Bluetooth? I don't know. But one of those things where I've gone wired headphones, gone away from the Bluetooth if I could. Again, it's still in the vehicles. I can't eliminate it 100%, but I've also, you can look up EMF protection or EMF stickers. They make them for like all of your laptops, your phones, your headphones, your Bluetooth headphones. What they do is, I don't know how they work, but they help reduce the EMFs that are given off by your headphones and your phone and that stuff. So I do have an EMF sticker on my phone. The research on it, or the videos on it, are kind of crazy on the reduction in EMFs just from like the sticker and how it works. So they also make a bunch of like EMF and Wi-Fi blockers for your bedroom and stuff. So if you wanted to get like a plug-in for your room, I haven't gone that crazy yet, but they do make certain plugins for your room where it'll reduce, like, it's nothing that we can physically notice, but like the EMFs in your bedroom, and it might help with your sleep. It might help you calm down. Again, it's stuff that is above my head, but EMFs, if you want to do your own research on EMFs and how they affect your body and how they're bad for you, go for it. I think it's another one of those things where you might notice a difference, or at least it might give you some mental clarity. A lot of our cell phones are always in our pocket, front or back. Wherever you like to store your phone really doesn't matter, but it's usually on us. And I'm concerned a little bit about like the long-term effect of that, just given the radiation / the EMFs that it's giving off. So if, again, we're looking 20, 30, 40 years, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So I've gone the EMF sticker out. I also try to keep it out of my pockets if I can, leave it on my desk, leave it on my dash of the car, or whatever it is, just to kind of keep it off of me and out of my pockets. So that being said, a little add in here. I try to keep electronics off your lap again, the electronics around our private region, I'll call it again, male and female. I just don't know that it's great for hormones, for, pregnancy, for basically everything, just like the normal humanly function. So keeping the radiation and the EMFs away from your lap, I think, are just a good thing to practice as well. Anyways, moving on. We've kind of got a little bit left here. I'll just kind of keep rambling. You guys can do what you want with this episode. Man-made medicine, ibuprofen and Claritin, stuff like that. I would take ibuprofen if I needed to, if I had a headache, if you have a headache, my belief is that you've probably got an imbalance somewhere, whether that's a lack of water, lack of sodium, whatever. So I've gone away from ibuprofen. I haven't had ibuprofen since, I don't know, again, sometime mid to late last year, probably, maybe last fall or something like that. Claritin for allergies, I'm always I need Claritin when my allergies start kicking in. I take it every day to be proactive, and I keep the itchy eyes and the runny nose away. My most recent test, let me look this up real quick as we're on here to verify that I can say this right. I think it's called quercetin, but I'm literally going to keep this on here so you guys can hear it exactly how it's supposed to be. Oh, I said it completely wrong. Here, listen.
Quercetin.
I think it's picking that up.
Yeah, it's picking it up.
Quercetin. 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 My most recent research is that this is kind of the natural allergy medicine. I started taking this last week. I started getting itchy eyes. I ordered it, thanks to Amazon. It's here 2 days later. Started taking it. The first 2 days before I had it, I really needed eye drops. And since I started taking it, seems fine. Again, I'm not saying it's peak allergy season. It's one of those things I'm just kind of trying out. I've been telling people on my Snapchat to check it out. Everybody will react differently. But again, I believe man-made medicine is kind of like something's wrong with you. We've created this to help with it. It's not to cure the issue. Usually when your body has a pain or an ache or whatever, there's a headache or whatever, there's probably a imbalance somewhere or something that your body physically needs, not just a Band-Aid, which is kind of like the man-made medicine is what I think. So I'm not saying that goes for everything. I'm not saying that there aren't, I'm not trying to say that there aren't certain vaccines or medicines that are good for you if you're extremely sick. I just think the basics, the headache, the joint pain, that stuff can be tried to treat. You can try to treat that stuff naturally before you go the man-made route. So I'll kind of update other options like the quercetin as a allergy fix. If there's other things that I need in my life, there's like the natural ibuprofen, which I think is like Theracumin or something like that. There's other things out there that if you're curious, there's something that you currently take that you'd maybe like to look into a natural alternative. I can try to help out with that as well. Let's see what else. I've eliminated dryer sheets. Don't ask me why. Again, very brief research. Dryer sheets aren't that great for you or for your clothes, and then you're wearing them all the time. So I've eliminated dryer sheets as well. Something that I don't do a lot of that might have a very positive effect as well is grounding. Getting out and walking the earth, being one with the earth, getting the EMFs out of us, and just kind of doing that. Do your own research on grounding if that interests you. It's something that I was interested in at one point. I just haven't kind of come full circle to doing it consistently. I've gone red light before bed. I actually went red light bulbs in the room, like a melatonin, a red light lamp. The goal behind that is to get rid of artificial light before bedtime. The goal is to get the melatonin production to kick in and be basically working better. When we have artificial light in our life, our melatonin production doesn't really kick in until 2 to 3 hours after that melatonin light. So anything I can do to kind of reduce that artificial light before I go to bed, the better. So I've kind of gone red light bulbs in the bedroom, which they have to be a certain lux rating and like anti-blue light to really get the effect. But I've gone that route. The red light bulb, the anti-blue light night light, which is a red light. I also do like blue light blocking glasses, so I actually have like red tinted glasses that sometimes I'll wear before bed too. But just kind of screwing around with stuff like that to try to kind of help the natural body, the natural production of like the melatonin kick in and work properly. Sunscreen and sunglasses is another interesting take, another controversial topic. I think sunscreen came out kind of hot and heavy. I can't remember, is it like the 60s or something like that? And our skin cancer rate rose basically the direct time that sunscreen started coming out. So we pushed sunscreen as this great thing. Oh, don't get sunburnt. But skin cancer also went up at the same time. So again, it's just kind of an interesting take. Do your own research on it. I think there's natural sunscreen alternatives out there that can benefit you and be a good sunscreen option. I just think a lot of like the cheap man-made stuff that we buy and think put it on our skin, I don't know if it's the best for us. Sunglasses, my take on sunglasses. Do your own research. Again, I know I've been saying that this whole episode, but when your eyes need to know how sunny it is outside in order to tell your body to burn or to tan or to like how to protect itself. They say when you have sunglasses on outside that you'll burn more because your eyes cannot regulate the melanin or whatever in your body that will work properly. So sunglasses are interesting. I think sun is good for our eyes. Now, obviously, if you're laying out in Florida and you're looking directly up in the sky with not a single cloud in the sky and you have to tan, wear sunglasses for 10, 15 minutes. Sure, do whatever you want. I just think it's interesting. It's an interesting topic to talk about. Sunglasses, the way your eyes are supposed to work and take in the sun, the vitamin D that you get from the sun, all that stuff is interesting to understand. Same thing with sunscreen. Just do your own research, figure it out, think if it's a good thing or bad thing for you. Look into natural alternatives. I know they make like sunscreen with like I think like beef tallow and some I don't know anything about it. I don't use sunscreen at all, but again, look into it however you want. The last thing I'll throw in there are some oils that I cook with. I think these are like 4 of the best oils that you can cook with and keep in the kitchen. You got your extra virgin olive oil, basically can be used at any time. Coconut oil, which again can be used at any time. Avocado oil, and then ghee butter. Those are the 4 things that I like to kind of keep in the kitchen and cook with. I also just use normal butter. I try to get a more natural butter, but that's just kind of what I do. So kind of went over a lot of things. What I'd like to do is I'd like to use some of these things for future episodes. I'd like to discuss them. I'd like to have like G and Chase in here and just kind of have like an open table discussion. A lot of them are more eye-opening than they are like controversial. A lot of them, maybe we could have a conversation on microplastics and things that we can do to eliminate them more in our day-to-day life. But again, today I just wanted to talk about some things that I've changed. I think carnivore is the main reason that's led me down this path. I've also been doing a lot of research on like sleep and breathing, obviously, as we've talked about recently, and just how to like maximize that part of my life. So a lot of these things can be related back to helping you sleep better. Everybody these days, I feel like, lacks sleep, has insomnia, can't go to bed. When they want to, they lay there for an hour in bed, and then finally they fall asleep or they have to stay on their phone. That could be the artificial light aspect. That could be the blue light aspect that you need in your life, on top of drinking caffeine late at night, which I feel like a lot of people my age probably do. But anyways, I'll quit rambling. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We will elaborate more on these. I will update these as I get more things to talk about or things that I noticed I've changed in my day-to-day routine. But hopefully you enjoy it. Episode 19. If you want to add me on Snapchat, colton.burt, COLTON.BURT. Instagram, Facebook, coltonburt19. If you want to email us at marketing@fitnessgrizzly.com. Reach out to us. Let us know if there's any episode or like any topics you'd like us to talk about or things that you'd like us to discuss or ways you'd like us to structure these episodes. Again, I know I've been saying it for the last 10 episodes. I do intend on getting videos set up. We are going to get into the interviews and the discussions and the conversations and back to the old days because I think a lot of those stories are fun. The more we can uncover, the better, and kind of let you guys know exactly what's happened in our life. And there's a lot of funny stories we can kind of dive into. So anyways, peace out. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. See you next time.